Alright, welcome to Late Hits. It's the Hot Stove Edition. We are less than a week away, probably by the time you see this, of actual preseason exhibition games starting in baseball. We are less than 30 days away, inside a month before the draft on March 21st, 8 o'clock. It's a Sunday night. Make sure you got your time off. Make sure you are not shooting darts. Ready not to have your draft go on autopilot. We know what that can happen to your team if that happens. So hopefully everyone will be there this year for the draft. A couple things, Jeff, we were going to look at going into it. We're in the hot stove. People are starting to make some trades. We've had one trade actually go down in the offseason, and that was myself trading Jason Worth, Philadelphia Phillies outfielder, to the Shriveled Berries for pitcher Adam Wainwright. There's still some contingencies that could negate that trade if there's any injuries, but it's a deal, Jeff, that kind of goes in for one owner where he likes to build on offense, and the other owner likes to build with pitching, and I'm the pitching guy, but Josh obviously building a good offense with his potential keepers.
Yeah, he does that. He does it really well. It's kind of interesting. It has only been with that one trade go down, but still a lot of time left, and I think as we get closer towards that draft day, probably see a couple more trades go through.
Yeah, I definitely think you're going to see some more trades go through. But that first trade, you know, Josh already set himself up there with a possible Albert Pujols or Ryan Braun in round 1, Evan Longoria possibly in round 2, Jason Worth in round 3, some offense, and then myself building with the pitching, as I like to tend to happen to do every year, kind of locks in Adam Wainwright and or Tim Lincecum and Roy Halladay. So, I mean, there's two good ace pitchers there. But as we get into looking at the hot stove, what's going on, there's a couple owners starting off the American League East. You got this year the Chico's Bail Bonds, you have Crotch Burns, the Slump Busters, and the Fenway Fist. It's a tough division. In fact, we were looking over the divisions. It's not an easy division this year. And if you look at this division, you got a couple teams that are on the rise, and Jeff and Pat Farley's team. You got Chico's Bail Bonds, who was continuously always there, and you got the Fenway Fist, about ready to bounce back after a down year with a lot of extra draft picks. As we talk off-season stuff, you look at what the Slump Busters have with some young players coming back. You look at what Crotch Burns has with some young players coming back that they drafted last year, and you talk about your team right now.
My team, I'm looking to keep probably CC in the first round, and I have some really great keepers in Matt Kemp. I also have the ace Tommy Hanson, and I got the #1 prospect coming out of the minor leagues this year will be Jason Haywood from Atlanta.
Yeah, some great young players. Way to draft with some foresight, getting Haywood in the 20th round, getting Tommy Hanson, who's going to probably be an ace in the 10th round. You got Matt Kemp. You still got Jacoby Ellsbury, and we have heard rumors that Jacoby Ellsbury possibly will be on the move as a 5th-round keeper. The Inglourious Bastards, is from what our sources are telling us, have inquired about a deal there possibly. And then the same thing can be said about Pat Farley's team, Crotch Burns. Drafted Andrew McCutcheon, who not the top player coming out of minor leagues, so he came in with a bang at the end of last season, 20th round keeper. You look in tier 4, possibility of keeping Wandy Rodriguez. Matt Whiter's the catcher from Baltimore in round 10. So I mean, again, another owner who saw ahead of time to what he could do with his team last year to set him up for success this year. Going over to Chico's Bail Bonds, always a threat and always a contender. You know. You look at right through their roster, as Drupal Cabrera could be a good 20th round pick. Colby Rasmus had a down year last year, but everyone was high on everybody's list. He could be kept in the 15th round, and even up to round 10, you got guys like Jonathan Broxton is a possibility. He might be the #1 relief pitcher on a lot of draft boards.
Yeah, so he kept him last year, so he would definitely move up in that slot there, right?
Yep, he kept him in the round 15, so this year you can keep him around 10. Nice. Still great value there. And then there's a lot of opportunities in round 5. We've heard speculation has that Bruce Gregory's looking to possibly make a deal with some of those tier 2 keepers. Names are mentioned: Joey Votto, Ryan Zimmerman, Robinson Cano. All those guys could be on the move this offseason. All of them would be legitimate 5th-round keeper guys too. A guy like Ryan Zimmerman hit 30 home runs he plays on the Nationals. You don't hear about him much, but he hit 30 home runs. And a guy like Robinson Cano, a second baseman, who's going to hit 20 home runs too. Yeah. So I mean, and then you got Fenway Fist to round out that division. A lot of extra draft picks. As I go right here to look at the draft picks that Fenway Fist has acquired, as we scroll down, he has himself an extra 6th round pick, an extra 4th round pick, an extra 7th round pick, and an extra 14th round pick. One thing that Charles could end up getting involved is like, all right, I don't have great keepers, but I got extra picks. So I can combine these picks to get a keeper in those spots. We've also heard some possibility of a trade rumor with Fenway Fists, maybe working out something with Belko Boys, looking to acquire some picks back. Maybe Belko Boys will trade down at around 4 or around 6 to Fenway Fists for a couple extra picks, and Fenway Fists will just move, maybe turn that 7th and that 14th into a 4th.
That sounds overly complicated for Charles.
Sounds complicated. That's one thing for being in the basement last year. He was able to bounce back this year.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Give you some credit there, Charles.
We'll move on to the American League West, as we're going to break this up into 2 segments for you. We'll do the American League West, and in the American League West this year, we got the Back Goners, Belko Boys, the defending champions, CC Blumpkins, and Shriveled Berries.
A tough division.
Another tough division, as you're talking Shriveled Berries with Josh, the always a perennial, like we talked about, a powerhouse team, a team built on offense, and offense. And Fran, the defending champion, always ready to make any kind of move. And then Back Goners is a team that is really starting to creep in there. Was in the playoff chase last year and ended up making some moves to help themselves out. They ended up getting an extra 11th round pick. But as we take a look at their keepers going on into this year, Belko Boys, you look right at the list. One thing that Fran did last year is he drafted Ben Sheets in the 21st round. Ben Sheets was not playing last year. Wasn't even on a team, so you couldn't hide him on the disabled list either. He was actually keeping him on his roster all year round. Now he's the #1 starter for the Oakland A's.
Nice.
And then you talk about what else Fran has. He's got a little bit of a problem there. Who do you keep in round 5? Joe Mauer or Zach Greinke?
Tough decision.
Tough decision. Our sources are telling us that Fran and the Belko Boys, John Moss's own team, are leaning towards keeping Joe Mauer. And it's hard not to keep Joe Mauer because the drop-off in catcher, there's Joe Mauer, and then there's a drop-off. And then you got Victor Martinez and a couple other guys, and there's a huge drop-off. Yeah. So put Zach Greinke out on the trade block as possibly moving. I can say that as far as myself, I was actually involved in talking in a possible trade for Zach Greinke, is that 5th round keeper. But now that I've acquired Adam Wainwright, I would still possibly consider it for a 1st round pick. But I got Halliday and Lincecum there, so I'm pretty much out of the mix for Greinke as a 5th round keeper. But I can certainly see where other people might want to make that move.
Yeah.
And then you look right at the top for Belko Boys. There has been some rumors, again, a possible deal with Charles and Fenway Fists, our sources are telling us, where he may make a move to acquire one of those 1st round keepers. And you're talking Alex Rodriguez, Prince Fielder, Josh Beckett, all 1st round keeper players.
It's going to be interesting how that works out. But a lot of talk, who gets the job done. It'll be interesting. A
lot of talk, who gets the job done. You got Sheets, possibly coming back in tier 10 with a Trevor Hoffman, but definitely one person who he lost a couple draft picks where he acquired people last year. He wants to get those draft picks back, and he will probably move one of those 1st round keepers to try to get one of those picks back. Look at other teams here. We got CC Blumpkins is a team that's kind of you don't really hear much about. Let's take a look at what owner Rick Clark has coming back for him. And he's got Ryan Howard on his a possible 1st round keeper, and then you go into tier 2. And there really isn't much there for tier 2 as I'm looking real quick, but you got a guy like Edwin Jackson who you can keep in round 15. You even got a guy like Mark Burley. I mean, he doesn't put up great fantasy stats, but for a 20th round keeper, you're getting the opening day starting pitcher for the Chicago White Sox.
Not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal. Higher draft picks, Rick Clark getting back into the baseball swing of things here. We'll see how he does with his team. And then we touched on Shriveled Berries already, and then the Back Goners. Taking a look at Ward's team. Actually, Ward had been involved in some trade discussions. I know there was some discussions going on with him and myself. Pablo Sandoval name was thrown out there for a possible 10th round keeper. And I know Ward does have a couple good 5th round keepers there if you take a look at it, Jeff. Troy Tulowitzki, John Lester are possible good players to lock there in round 5. Tulowitzki, there's not much of a... And again, a shortstop, big drop-off after those first few. Yeah. And Lester, you get a guy that strikes out 200 people in 200 innings. That was one of the talks I had going on with Ward, was possibly moving Pablo Sandoval for John Lester. I actually liked the idea of keeping Pablo Sandoval more so at this point because of his position versatility.
Awesome.
Position versatility, which will going to be something that a lot of people want to think about come draft day with daily lineups. All right, we're going to wrap it up. That's pretty much it for the American League West. We will be back in just a few short days. We will touch on the National League hot stove report here on Late Hits. For Jeff, I'm Chris. We'll see you in a couple days.